How's it going, everyone? This is Mr. Stamkos, and today I am here with another segment of Prospect Talk. And this time I have a player that not a lot of you guys might have heard about, if any of you, and that is a 15-year-old Russian player named Matvei Michkov. Now, Matvei Michkov is a player who I think has real potential to become a player similar, if not better, than Alexander Ovechkin. Now, I don't think he'll be better because I think Ovechkin is a top 2 goal scorer all time. But when we get into his stats and stuff, just in a few minutes, there's some pretty good comparisons to a guy like Andrei Svechnikov, and you may even say he's better. So, we'll take a look at that in a few minutes. So, just a brief introduction here. You can see he has 37,000 views on his Elite Prospects page, and he plays for St. Petersburg in the MHL for 2021. At least that's a plan. But let's just get into everything. His stats. So he was born 2004. He's 15, from Russia, born in Perm, and he's 5'9", 176 at 15. So you're thinking he's a guy who grows into about a 5'11 to 6'1 winger. Good size, I'd say, for today's NHL. He's 157 pounds. Again, you probably think like he grows into like 170, 180 by the time his draft comes around. And he's also an opposite shot winger, just like Ovechkin, just like Kucherov, who are two really great Russians in today's NHL. And he is a top prospect eligible for the 2023 NHL entry draft. And yeah, so this is a guy who looks like he will be a good size for the NHL. Doesn't look like a Zion Nybeck, who at 5'6", looks like not a lot of teams may want to take a chance on a guy like that because of injury concerns, which, again, the NHL is slowly getting smaller and faster, not bigger and bodilier. Not bodilier, that's not a word, but like bigger and more brutish, It's evolving, not going back. So I think Matvei Michkov is a guy who's going to fit, well into the current modern day NHL. If you go 10 years from now, a guy like Zion Nybeck at 5'6", maybe a little bit more acceptable. But today, I'd say 5'10" to 6'2" is about the size you want a player to be. Now let's move on to his stats, which is the really interesting part of this video. And he does play in a U16 league, but the same U16 league that Andrei Svechnikov played in. So in 26 games, Matvei Michkov this year had 70 goals. 70 goals as a 15-year-old in 26 games. Playing a U16 league in Russia. Yes, you could argue, well, he's miles ahead of his competition. He is. 39 assists. He's not a guy who's going to get a lot of assists. 109 points and 26 penalty minutes. Now, I don't have them because I forgot to get them, but if you compare these stats to Andrei Svechnikov's stats from his U16 stats when he was 16, and remember, Matvei Michkov is 15. You compare him to Andrei Svechnikov's stats when he's 15, and they're better. Matvei Michkov, as a 15-year-old, is putting better stats up than Svechnikov is a year before he put him up. So you're thinking, in terms of development, Matvei Michkov is a year ahead of Andrei Svechnikov in development, which means that a year before Matvei Michkov is even drafted, if development proves correct, he will be as good as Svechnikov is in his first year in the NHL, literally before he even gets drafted. And I think that is totally insane. A guy as highly talented as Ovechkin, as highly praised as Ovechkin, a guy who people viewed as a potential 40 to 50 goal scorer, and a guy who could be, a winner of the Maurice Rocket Richard Trophy one day. And you're looking at this guy right here, who is a 15-year-old, who's putting up better stats in the same league as Ovechkin, and I'm thinking, well, if Ovechkin's predicted to get 40 goals, where's Matvei Michkov sit in terms of player growth and projections? Now, we probably won't really get a great look at where he will fall, at least until the end of next season. I think I want to see a full season of MHL hockey out of him before I make any, big rash predictions. But I'll just leave it at this right now. I think that Matvei Michkov can be a 50-goal scorer one day for sure. I think that he can be an elite level winger, a franchise-defining player if all things go well. And, getting back into other things, he is in a, bit of a pickle. He's in the same draft class as Connor Bedard, who I believe was the first WHL exceptional status player, and he's a whole another level of player as well. He's a guy who's viewed as, one of those McDavid, Crosby, Ovechkin types, where he's one of the players that comes around once every 5 to 10 years as like a generational talent. And although I don't think Connor Bedard will have the impact of McDavid, Crosby, or Ovechkin in the sense of generational talent, I still think he's going to be an amazing hockey player. And believe it or not, I think that Matvei Michkov could easily, contend for that number 1 overall pick. Now, the reason why I think that, Bedard is, a lot more popular now than Michkov, first of all, this guy's 15 playing in U16 Russia leagues. You're not going to get a lot of popularity that way. Bedard is the first WHL exceptional status player, and, he's Canadian. So those are just a few examples. But, you don't really see prospects from Europe and you say, this guy's going to be really good literally 3 years before he gets drafted. But in the case of this guy, Matvei Michkov, you just have to look at his stats and think 70 goals in 26 games. He's putting up like 3.5 goals a game. He's getting a hat trick a game. And you just translate that into an NHL kind of game. Like, again, I'd like to see an MHL season out of him. I want to see what he can do in a higher level league with bigger and better players. Like, I can name a few from even this 2020 draft class that are currently playing in the MHL and playing pretty well too. But, it's just one of those leagues where it's a real big step up. And if Matvei Michkov can go point per game or even a bit above point per game, then I'm going to say, yes, this guy's legit. He's going to go top 2 in this draft. He's going to contend with Connor Bedard for the number 1 overall pick. No doubts about it. And, it's going to be great. And I think this is a guy who I will revisit a year from now and say, well, was I right on that player? Yes or no? Hopefully it's a yes, because I really want to see Matvei Michkov go so far in his career. I want him to be the next Alexander Ovechkin, which is the tag that, the few YouTubers that have talked about this guy tag him as the next Alex Ovechkin. Andrei Ovechkin wasn't labeled as the next Ovechkin. He was labeled as the next good Russian player. But that's not saying that he's going to be Ovechkin. Saying that you're going to be Ovechkin or even similarly close is just an accomplishment on its own. And like I said already, I'll be super excited to see how this guy develops next year in the MHL. But just the 70 points, the 70 goals in 26 games, and being basically a year ahead of Svechnikov in development, and a guy with as high talent as Svechnikov, I think it's huge. I think it's a really big deal, this player right here, and, I think a lot more people should know who he is, so that's why I'm making this video. But yeah, that's where I'm going to end it off. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe, help me reach 100 subscribers if you would like to. Come around for more videos like this where we talk about prospects and players and ideas. But yeah, this is Mr. Stamkos. I will see you in the next one, but for now, bye.